Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Big Time Fantasy Football. You're here with your hosts, Nick and Zach. Today, we got another great video for you. Another week went by in the NFL. You know what that means. There's more news, more fantasy analysis to be had. But before we get into all that, please make sure to like, subscribe if you haven't already. We are on our way to becoming big time, and we need your help. So please do that for us.
All right, so getting into the news of this week, we got Jordan Love. He's questionable for Sunday. Ian Rappaport said he was targeting a Week 5 return. He did practice today. His first practice back. I don't think that means he's going to play today. You obviously need a few practices before you're looking to play. So Week 5 might be accurate, hopefully by Week 4, but I don't think he'll be playing this week, even though he's questionable.
Yeah, it looks like he's not. I think he's targeting a Week 5 return, is what I was hearing, what I was seeing online, but we'll see on that. Getting into the next guy, Tua Tagovailoa. Obviously, a very scary injury during the game this week, especially with his history of concussions. So he was sent to IR, and he's definitely. We'll see on his future in the NFL. Hopefully, he can get back to it. Prayers out to him. But yeah,
He wants to keep playing. He said he doesn't want to retire, but I think he might want to get that Guardian cap on. Honestly, at least if he's going to be out there playing, he's had too many concussions where he gets the tight hands or like the fingers.
yeah.
So that's just a bad sign at this point to have that many in such a short time. Anyways, got Russell Wilson. Tomlin's planning on Fields still starting this week, so we're going to see. We don't have official word of when Russell Wilson's supposed to be back. Fields is still going to be the guy this week, and then we'll see after that.
Yeah, at this point, I know Fields got 2 wins for him. I wonder if it's so much the injury, or is it more so they want to start moving into going with Fields the rest of the season? We'll definitely have to see on that. But
They did get the wins. I personally don't feel like Fields got the wins for him. I think he was there and they won. But
yeah,
either way, we'll see what the coaching staff thinks going forward.
definitely. Moving on, next quarterback, Justin Herbert. I didn't see what happened during the game, but he ended up hurting his ankle, and he's showing up as questionable going into this week. I don't think he practiced today, Wednesday, but going forward, we'll have to monitor that throughout the week.
I believe he did come back in the game after, if I'm not mistaken, he did come back in the game after he initially left with the ankle. So, we'll monitor it, but sometimes those things can be worse, once the adrenaline wears down and all that type of thing. So something to monitor there. So we got Cooper Kupp. Weird reporting with him. They said he's going to IR, and then today they dropped a message saying he's not. He avoids IR, so he's hoping to miss less than 4 weeks. He could still miss that 4+ weeks, but they're hoping, obviously, at this point to get him back in 3 or under. Definitely not this week. Certainly not this week. I don't think there's a great chance for next week either, and then we'll kind of see going on from there. I wouldn't be surprised if he does 4 weeks still, to be honest.
Yeah, especially with how much they're going to need to use him with Puka still out and that line still super banged up. I think the slower, the better for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting into the next couple, both 49ers, we have CMC. He was sent to IR before the game last week, so he's out for at least 3 more weeks. Looking like it could be longer, which is just a tough go for him. And then Deebo Samuel, he got hurt during the game. He strained his calf, and he is expected to miss a couple games. That's what Coach Shanahan said. We'll see if they end up putting him on IR before the game this week, but if not, hopefully he comes back in 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, and Juwan Jennings, I think, is the guy that's supposed to step up in his absence, so we'll see if that's how it plays out. But Mixon was actually pissed at the league this week because they didn't enforce the new hip drop tackle rule on him. That's how he ended up getting hurt with his ankle. So he's questionable for this week. If he's not ready to go, then we're looking at Pierce, we're looking at Akers. But that's Mixon questionable as of now.
Yeah, and it's funny how much they harped on the new rule, the new hip drop tackle rule, and they haven't called a single one this year, but the amount of penalties on the offensive lines just for illegal formation because they're back too far. Let's work on getting the hip drop tackle out of the game. the
The thing hurting
illegal
people.
formation isn't as big of a deal.
Yeah.
Getting into the next guy, AJ Brown. He missed last week with a hamstring injury, and reports are saying that he is expecting to miss probably a couple more games. So definitely keep an eye on that. He's a focal point in the Eagles' offense, but without him, Devontae Smith stepped up pretty good this week, and I think he can do it going forward.
Yeah, that's actually one of the ones that slipped my mind that AJ Brown's going to be out for a little bit. I might have had Devontae Smith as a start this week had I had thought about that when we were prepping, but didn't. Spoiler alert: did not put him in the starts. But stay tuned and see what I did put for the starts. But get in the next one. We got David Njoku. He's questionable for Sunday versus the Jags with his ankle. Yeah, so he's not one of the top guys, but you probably did draft him to be your starting tight end if you did draft him. So you're probably going to have to wait. Maybe check the waiver for someone like Freiermuth or, one of those other tight ends that you have. I'm sure you have one by now, in place.
Getting in the next guy, Tajay Spears. Looks like he has an ankle injury and he's questionable for week 3. He did not practice Wednesday today, but we'll have to monitor him throughout the week. Tony Pollard has taken the bulk of carries already, and he's done pretty well with them. So going forward, he should get even more work until Tajay Spears returns.
Yeah, Pollard definitely going to get more work in that situation. I mean, I think last year kind of proved that Pollard, you don't want him to be an every down back. So it does help to have a complement. I'm not sure who they have there. I know that Haskins left, so I'm not sure who their third. Do you know who their third string is offhand?
I want to say, I know they drafted like Dylan Johnson or something, but I thought they cut him.
Okay, well, yeah, whoever the third is right now, they're probably going to look at him, hopefully look at him to get a little work just because I don't think Pollard's best suited for that role. But if they do want to use him like that, then obviously that's going to add a lot of value if you do have Pollard. But next, we got Keenan Allen. His heel, he's questionable again for week 3. Last week, I thought he was going to be good to go. Kind of surprised me that he wasn't. So we'll see how he's feeling this week. He is, up there in age, so these things do happen. But if he is able to play, then he's not one of those guys that relies on his speed or anything like that. He just relies on his route running and hands. So he wouldn't be like someone to completely avoid if he is ready to go.
Yep. And I mean, his wide receiver room is pretty crowded, and I don't think even if he plays, he's a must start. So definitely someone to keep an eye on. But yeah. Getting into the next guy, Josh Downs. He was hurt during training camp. He had a high ankle sprain. Looks like he's planning on returning this week. The Colts could use another weapon. Hopefully Anthony Richardson can up his accuracy and his efficiency a little bit, so those targets mean something a little bit more. But looks like he's going to return this week.
Yeah, and Downs, not a guy that I put on the sit list, but don't be playing Josh Downs for any reason this week. If you're in an 18-plus league, then maybe start considering him, tossing him in the flex, but there's no real reason to be playing Downs. So just a heads up on that. And then Jake Ferguson, sounds like we're expecting him to be back this week. I think they might ease him in still, even if he does play this week. So if you have another option at tight end, maybe look that way, but they're expecting him to be back this week.
Yep.
And which is good, actually, because actually we didn't put on here, but CD, this just came in. We might not solve this yet, but CD actually missed practice today. So if CD's not playing, definitely need another pass catcher out there. So it would be great to have Ferguson back in full health.
Yeah, I think the CD thing is more precautionary, just giving your guy his rest. They're going to expect a lot of him going forward. So
yeah, absolutely. But now,
all right, that's going to do it for the new news.
Okay, so we're going to recap last week's start sits, see if we're dumb, see if we're smart, check it out. Nick, do you want to tell them how you did with your starts?
Yeah, overall, my starts were not great. I had James Conner as one of my starts. He balled out. That went really well. But as far as DJ Moore and Joe Mixon, not so great. I know Joe Mixon missed pretty much the whole second half. He came back for a couple plays, but that definitely hurt. And then I expected Caleb Williams to step up a little more, give him some better targets. I mean, he had, I think, 10 targets or 8 or 10 targets, and he only caught 6 of them. I believe it was 10 targets. So he did lead in that category, but just couldn't turn it into much production this week.
Yeah, for sure. So tough week for your starts there. For my starts, I had J.K. Dobbins. I think that was an obvious one. I nailed it there. Obviously, he had 19.6 fantasy points. He had that long touchdown run along the side. I was foolish, didn't listen to my own advice. I started Brandon Ayuk over him in my flex, which was dumb. But yeah, so I was right on camera at least. So we'll go with that. Rashee Rice this week, or last week, he was playing Cincinnati. He ended up with 16.5 points. He still is obviously the most valuable receiver there. He's pretty much passing, if not past Kelsey, as the most valuable pass catcher, period, there. He had the touchdown this week. He's been getting tons of targets. Him and Mahomes had that connection. So, yeah, great. Better even for PPR leagues because he runs a lot of the other routes. But Rashee Rice is good. The one that I got wrong last week was Jaden Daniels versus the Giants. He only had 13.4 points. I said to start him. I mean, if he did find one of those rushes into the end zone, it would have been a different story. We'd be looking at him a different way, but he didn't. And he still, to this point in his career, does not have a passing touchdown in the NFL. So you might hear about him a little bit later, just a heads up. But yeah, Nicky, if you want to do your sits.
Yeah, as far as my sits, I think I did fairly well with sits. One of them, Isaiah Likely, a guy everyone wanted off waivers. He didn't do much, put up 3.6 half PPR fantasy points. Zamir White also only 5.3 half PPR fantasy points. And then the one that wasn't great, wasn't terrible, was Chris Olave. I just think the Saints really surprised me with how they played against Dallas, which is a great defense. And he probably should have gotten more, but after Alvin Kamara's excellent performance this week, there really wasn't too many more points to go around.
Yeah, I would say supposed to be a great defense. I don't know how we are after that showing. But anyways, bitterness aside, get into my sits. Jaden Reed was the first one. Just not having the starting quarterback there was pretty straightforward logic. He only had 5.6 points, so I was right on that one there. Most of his points were from rushing. I think like 3 to 3.7 of his points were from rushing, which as a receiver, you like to have that he's also getting rushing yards. But when he's getting most of his points not from catching the ball, then it's a little more of a concern if he doesn't have a great game there. So another group of people I actually said was the Bills receivers. Yeah, this kind of, I thought one of them might have a good game, but they had 8.1 points combined, and that was all from Shakir. So yeah, Coleman only had one target. I think I know I had him as a sit last week. I think there's enough clarity to where if you needed to play Shakir in the flex this week, you could be a little more comfortable doing it, even though he didn't have a great game. But he, as of now, is clearly the number one. Coleman might have a breakout down the road, but he's just clearly, in my mind, not ready yet. So hopefully he does pick it up. But right now, don't be playing Coleman. And then lastly, we got Jameson Williams. I said to sit him. He did surprise me. He had 11.9 points, which wasn't a crazy game, but definitely a startable game. And he had 11 targets, which surprised me because he, in my mind, was the guy that's going to keep getting 4 to 6 targets. Maybe he connects with 2 or 3 of those deep balls, and he has a really good game. But he's doing a lot more. He's showing some growth as a receiver overall, and it seems like they have trust in him in that offense now. So yeah, Jameson Williams had a good game. I was wrong.
Yeah, I think overall we did pretty good. Definitely for our first one, but we're hoping to improve and get all of them right this week, all 12.
Which we will. So
Yes.
listen up when we talk here.
Yeah.
In a second.
Stay focused, people. Let's get into this week's starts and sits.
Okay, first guy I got here is going to be Demarcus Robinson. He's my first start for this week. Demarcus Robinson with the 2 main receivers out. It seems like he is going to be the main guy there. I think he got up to about 11 to 13 targets last week. So it is going to be a tough 49ers defense. But that being said, they are going to most likely be playing from behind. So that's going to be a lot more passing opportunities than if he's the number one guy in an offense that's a capable passing offense, then he will have some value for sure.
Yep, definitely. They need someone to step up in that offense, and I think he he's the best candidate for it at the moment. We'll see.
It could be like one of three guys, but I think he's the best guy, and yeah, willing to bet on him.
Yeah, most definitely. And then I am going to go with my first start, same game, but I chose the other side, Brandon Ayuk going against the Rams. I don't think the 49ers are going to end up passing too much just because the Rams just like, they're kind of falling apart right now with all the injuries and everything happening to them. But Debo's out, McCaffrey's out, so I think a lot of the targets are going to go to Ayuk, and he's finally going to have his first good game of this season.
Yeah, I was on the same train of thought as you. He's one guy I wanted to put as a start as well, but obviously we both can't put him. So Ayuk, I think it's time for his breakout, or at least hopefully time for his breakout. So we'll see how that game goes. Next guy, funny situation with this. I was eventually at first I was looking at this guy to be a sit. All right, and then when I was doing my research on him, I got a little excited. Had to switch him to the starts. We got Javonte Williams against the Buccaneers, and there's a couple reasons that I said this. Week one, he didn't get a lot of touches. He increased his rushing attempts this last week and got up to 5 catches. And the Tampa Bay has a good defense, but it's more on the back end so than it is up front. So I think that Javonte Williams will be able to find a little space. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to get you 25 points this week, but I think he has a pretty decent floor. And maybe not the highest ceiling, but a decent ceiling as well there. So I'm ready to fire up Javonte Williams this week.
Yeah, I hope so. I got him on one of my dynasty teams. Broncos are my guys, so hopefully they do good. They show me something this week because it's been pretty bad.
Yeah, certainly.
Getting into my next start, it's going to be Jared Goff against the Arizona Cardinals. I just think the offense looks pretty good. I don't know, is Amon-Ra still questionable?
I have not seen that he is.
Okay, because I know he went out in the game last week, but Arizona, their defensive line played a little bit better this past week against the Rams, but I think a lot of it was just the fact that the Rams' offensive line is really hurt. But they're usually not known for a great defensive line and getting pressure on the quarterback. That, along with Arizona's offense showing out last week, and I think if that continues, this game could easily be a shootout, and Jared Goff could score you a bunch of points.
Yeah, definitely a shootout in the making, looking like there. St. Brown did practice in full today, so he should be ready to rock. But getting to my last start here, I got Shaheed playing against the Eagles this week. So he's logged in two top 15 wide receiver finishes already this week. And I think the Eagles, is someone that they can expose in that secondary there as well. It's a speedster. He can catch the deep pass and take it a long ways, and Carr's been looking for him for sure. So he might even finish with another top 15 week here. You don't want him sitting on your bench if he's proven to you twice that he can do it, and then he does it again. So I think Shaheed, to stop you from looking silly, is a guy to play this week.
Yep, I think he did have the 2 long touchdowns. Saints offense is looking good. Hopefully it continues. And we are correct.
No, hopefully it doesn't continue. But for this specific case, hopefully it continues. But I'm still mad. I'm bitter, okay?
Yep. Getting into my last start, it's going to be Amari Cooper against the New York Giants. New York Giants defense is atrocious, probably the worst in the league. Maybe the Panthers is the worst. I misspoke, but Amari Cooper had 2 dud weeks so far. Deshaun Watson did look better this past week. Targeted Amari Cooper, I think it was 8 targets last week, but they just didn't connect on many of them. Only got a couple receptions. But I do see that improving this week against a bad Giants team. And I think with someone they can exploit, they're going to look to try and make that connection early and kind of improve on that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get where you're coming from there. My first sit, I think you probably could have figured this one out on your own if you have this guy. You probably should have figured it out by now. But just in case, Christian Kirk, just not looking good all around. It's just I don't know what's going on. It seemed like he would still be the guy, and then have Brian Thomas Jr. be complimentary piece. But Christian Kirk, when he does get targeted, I mean, he had -1 yards last week. When he does get targeted, he's not really having a good depth of target. He's not getting a ton of targets. He's not getting valuable targets. So I just a guy that until he has a good game and then follows it up with a good game, I just sit Christian Kirk.
Yeah, I like that as well. I think the addition of Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis, I think um, Trevor Lawrence has shown that he wants to go to the young guys, the young rookie, and then Gabe Davis as well before he's looking Christian Kirk's way. And I don't see it really changing anything. There's nothing popping out that say it's going to be different going forward. My first sit is going to be Derrick Henry against the Dallas Cowboys. I am doubling down again this week, hoping that the Cowboys defense is going to be great again. I think against a good defense, Lamar's superpower is going to come out, and that's how they're going to attack them, with his legs. And I think with him throwing, last week, Alvin Kamara went off against the Dallas defense, but he caught a lot of passes, and the offense was moving the ball really well. And I just don't see Derrick Henry as much of a pass catcher. And yeah, I don't think he's going to see a lot of rushing room against the Cowboys.
Yeah, one of Kamara's big touchdown plays was a screen. So obviously that was pass catching, something that they're not going to draw up for Derrick Henry as much. And then a lot to the outside as well. And obviously Derrick Henry can run to the outside, but he's more of a threat on the inside, which I think we're a little stronger there, at least from the game tape last week. So, yeah, hopefully we show up, and he is a good sit call. I can only keep my fingers crossed for now. But my guy, someone that I had to reverse course on from last week, I mentioned him earlier, is going to be Jayden Daniels. I think he is going to give you a decent floor where he won't have a super terrible game, just because he's always going to have that rushing upside no matter what. That's first and foremost. But like I mentioned, still does not have a passing touchdown this year. So if he can't really turn that around, then he really is not going to look to boom. I think week 3 is an important week. Either avoid going over 0-3, get you to 3-0, or get you a winning record if you're split at 1-1. So I think you want guys with a lot of upside, and I think that right now Jayden Daniels, this game at least particularly, does not have that super high end upside until something clicks for him. Decent floor play, like I said, but not a guy I would be looking to sit this week.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. Like you mentioned earlier, I don't think he has a passing touchdown this year so far. So if you're just using your legs, defenses are going to key in on that, and you can't really do it 3 weeks in a row. Getting into my next guy, my next sit is going to be Kyren Williams against the San Francisco 49ers. Like I mentioned earlier, the Rams team is pretty much just falling apart. Kyren Williams and Matthew Stafford are the only guys left. That offensive line has taken a lot of hits. I think they're missing 3 or 4 starters on the offensive line. San Fran's defense is really good. So yeah, I just think he's not going to find much room, and they're going to be down early and have to be passing the ball. And I don't think he's going to get a lot of the pass work.
Yeah, they're going to really key on that. They're going to have to pass a lot. So might not be the Kyren week here. But my last guy for sits here is going to be Jalen Waddle playing against the Seahawks. Seahawks have a good enough scheme typically defensively to where even if they don't have the players, they're still going to be a pretty solid defense. Even that being aside, without Tua, Waddle's value took a big hit. I mean, even I would say more so definitely than Tyreek Hill's value, even just being that second guy behind Hill. So yeah, Waddle without a starting quarterback until Tua gets back, I think that he's a guy that you can feel comfortable sitting on your bench.
Yep. Coming from a Waddle owner, I have him in 2 different leagues. I really don't feel comfortable starting him this week. Hopefully, Mike McDaniel can draw up some plays for him, still keep him involved, keep that offense chugging. But definitely Tyreek Hill is the guy that you want in that receiver room, just with all the speed and his talent. So
yeah, and they'll be more prone to run him. I think they do use some sets where they run Waddle as well. But when they're if they're going to force a touch to somebody, it's definitely going to be Tyreek Hill these next few weeks.
definitely. Getting into my last sit, it's going to be Mike Evans against Denver Broncos. There's quite a bit um, to exploit on the Denver's Broncos defense, sadly, but something that you really can't exploit is PS2, their top corner, and he usually likes to shadow the top receiver of an offense, and that is Mike Evans this week for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he's going to be on him all day, and you saw what happened with DK in week one. He held him to, I think, like 3 to 5 points. Definitely not what you want for fantasy. Chris Godwin did great last week. They saw that he was very useful out of the slot and got a lot of production that way. So I think they continue doing that. Get Rashad White going a little bit, that run game. And yeah, I don't think Mike Evans is going to get too many big plays this week.
Yeah, I have a couple shares in Mike Evans, so hope you're wrong. Hope you're right for your sake. I hope you're wrong for my sake. So we'll kind of see, which way that shakes out. PS2 though, that's pretty cool. I've never heard that. It's actually pretty cool. Sertan,
Really?
guy that was supposed to go to the boys before you guys wanted to snatch him from us, but I think we did well with that draft. Got some guy named Parsons, but
I think Michael Parsons,
something like that. But yeah, so another week of starts and sits. Last week we did all right. This week we're going to do great. So follow this like it's the Bible. So thank you guys for tuning in today. That's all we got for you. We'll try to release some more videos for you. But as Nick said up top, like and subscribe is going to help us so much. Our next goal is going to be 100 here. We're a little ways away, but with you guys can do it, we can do it in the next few weeks here. I believe it. So thank you so much and have a great night.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys.